going to invite a 15-minute creative pause with Sharon and Park, two folks who are an important part of my creative aging circle. So Sharon Lee Minor, also known as Auntie Afrika, is a visual and performance artist, cultural anthropologist, and arts educator. Sharon's a recipient of 2 Artist Scholars Grants Awards for her research on aging and creativity by the Arts and Humanities Council of Montgomery County, Maryland. In this moment, we're going to celebrate the legacies of our influential elders, of ourselves, by collectively envisioning a heritage box. And Sharon's going to share with us her work around heritage boxes. She'll be in conversation with Park Cofield, a builder of products, programs, and experiences that all facilitate community. So welcome, Sharon and Park. I'll let you take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Katie. Hey, Sharon, good to see you.
Hi, good to see you as well.
Awesome. I'm so excited for this conversation. Many thanks to Creative Spark and Front Porch for having us in conversation today. So just a little bit about what to expect for our audience. We're going to have about 5 minutes of conversation between the two of us. And then, as Katie mentioned, we're going to do an interactive exercise thinking about sort of a global heritage box. And we'll explain a little bit more about what that means. But today's a pause for celebration around legacy and heritage and ancestry. And these are 2 things that both Sharon and I are both really interested in. I think we've been brought together today, Sharon, because of this mutual interest. My background and experience is about bringing communities together around shared family stories and ancestry to create original plays. And your experience is helping people to collect beautiful objects, meaningful objects, and to put them into beautiful heritage boxes. And so I'd love to start the conversation there. And maybe you can just give us a short description of what is a heritage box? Where did this idea come from? And what are you making?
Well, Park, thank you so much. And thank you, Front Porch and Creative Spark and all of you wonderful people who are here. If you look behind me, you'll see a bunch of heritage boxes there. And so the box is what you make it. As a matter of fact, I'll give you an example. And this is a heritage box. It's a collection of things. And the collection can be of memories. It can be of what's going on immediately, but you want to put it someplace. And so this is a heritage box, and you can collect things and put them in them.
Beautiful. And when did you first start making these heritage boxes? Where did the idea first come from?
Well, I've always been a collector, and at home, again, I started collecting things and I love boxes. And so I would put things, I started doing them there, and then I come from a family where we made things, and so we always had things and we could put them, and like I said, I love boxes.
Me too. I am a fan of the Container Store and cardboard boxes and things to put things in. I personally use a lot of Oh, sorry. Okay, we had a weird little audio glitch there. I too am a fan of boxes and things to put things in, Sharon. So tell us, when we talked and prepped for this conversation, you talked about a couple of the different phases of what it takes to make a heritage box, from the sort of thinking and then the collecting and the assembling and then the placing. Can you quickly walk us through what are those sort of steps of the whole arc of the heritage box experience?
Well, you pretty much said all of the things. It takes thought, or it takes a spontaneous thing happening, a memory, and that it's really important, especially for people who are working with people with cognitive challenges. It's really good. So it starts with something happening or a conversation, and then collecting the materials. And people approach it different ways. Like the boxes I have here, these are the ones that I'm working on, and I'm working it. I mean, some of them I've been putting things in there for years. And so it really, the process is actually conversation, thinking, and you collect things, and then you start sorting things. Some people make, like I use a lot of cigar boxes. For example, here's a cigar box. Let's see if you can see it. Yeah, good. And I love cigar boxes. They're already beautiful. And so it may be just really looking at something, or you can make it. There have been times when I've had people make the boxes themselves out of cardboard, out of paper. There are ways of doing it. It's not something that's spontaneous, Park. And I think I mentioned that to you. It's not something that happens spontaneously. Is you think about them and you collect things, but putting a box together takes time. And I've had it work from students who are in elementary school all the way to senior citizens. And I work from the womb to the tomb, okay? So it's like, it's really, it depends on the skill level and the materials that are available.
Wonderful, Sharon. So just one more question before we jump into our activity. I just want to hear one example maybe of some of the impact that you've seen of making these boxes, of this process. What can people learn about themselves by making a heritage box?
Well, you know, and I thought about this as well, and it came to me. I was teaching a class at the Jewish Community Center in Rockville, Maryland. I'm over on the East Coast, y'all. You all on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast for the most part. I mean, you may be around the world. But I was in this teaching this class, heritage boxes, and some of the students in it had different levels of memory retention. So I took my box in, showed it to the people, and this gentleman said, because I told him where I was from and where my family lived, and he perked up and he said, Eastland Gardens, because that's where I grew up in Washington, D.C. I'm a fourth generation Washingtonian. And he said, Eastland Gardens, I know that place. He said, I was a developer. I was one of the first developers. I sold property. And so everybody was like looking around because it became a real drama, including for me. And he said, yeah, I sold. And so I also, and this is what I want to show, I have the actual deed. This is the deed from my grandmother of the home that she purchased
Beautiful.
for $10 in 1945. And this was at a time when Negroes, that's what we were called then, but African Americans being homeowners was something not really, it was not as popular as it is now. And so when he started telling the story, everybody got quiet, including the teacher. And I mean, it was just mind blowing. So it's a communicating way. Everybody who starts working on them, and this is happening college students too. I had another student who was one of the requirements when I was working at the university level. You had to get materials and interview your elders in your home. And one student who was very bright, his grandmother wouldn't tell them because lots of times people have secrets. They don't want to tell stuff that's going on in the family, or they don't want to have a walk back. So the box is great for that too, because you can shut some things into the box. Just as you can look at them at a different age period, like you look at it when you're one age, and then you go back to the box and you look at another age. Well, he had to make a presentation, and because you couldn't finish my class unless you had your box and made your presentation. And this poor child was so worried. And so the last minute, his grandmother gave him some photos. And he literally was, because we were all tense because we didn't know what was going to happen. Is he going to be able to make his presentation or what? And he made his presentation and everybody was very joyous. So that, again, joy coming with tension, which comes from making art, okay, is all part of the creative process.
Beautifully said. You know, such a good example of sharing and specifics and opening up conversation and, you know, inviting connection and joy. Thank you, Sharon. So we have, I think, just a few minutes left here. So we're going to make some magic happen in inviting people to use the chat and sort of, we're going to ask each of you to sort of think about a meaningful object to sort of add to our global heritage box. Before the session, Sharon asked me to personally select an object, and I'm going to share that with you. She doesn't know what I picked, and I'm not sure what's coming next. So I'm going to just leave it to you, Sharon. And then we'll invite.
That's what I've been waiting for. What did you bring? Because it's one thing, I love collaboration, and Park, I thank you because we've gone through many experiences. So I want to see a part of your life. What did you bring?
All right, so I brought this hammer. This is just a very small hammer. It's been used very well. It's covered in paint. It's marked with the words craftsman. It was, you know, commercially manufactured, and it's something that I have had with me in all of the homes that I've had as an adult, and it came from my grandmother's sort of toolbox kit, and it's sort of traveled along with me in all of the different homes that I've been in. Yeah.
I love it. That's what it's all about. It's about the story you told, as well as you've been carrying that. So you haven't made a box as such, but it's been in boxes to come with you as you go. So it's part of your life. And so I'm curious to see what other people are going to, and I think the way that we said we were going to do this is everybody, you can't make the box here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do a free clinic. I have a drawing clinic class, and I'm going to do a class on doing heritage boxes since we've been doing this. So if anybody wants to be a part of it, I do a free drawing class every third Thursday. And the information, Katie can get the information to people. But I'm going to ask you just to look around where you are. We've been in this environment for 2.5 hours, and look around, and I'm sure there's something that will trigger you that you could develop into or collect or think about, or you already have a box. I saw Jessica had on a piece. She told a wonderful story about her pendant. So, I mean, there's just so many things. So I think what you wanted to do, Park, was people put things into the chat. And
yeah,
see what we get.
Yeah, we're seeing them come in now. My father's Bell and Howell 16mm movie camera, glass jewelry holders. I would add my mother and father's wedding rings. So feel free to use this
carved cigarette box. Wow, these are great.
Wonderful. And each of these things holds a story and some other thread to follow that can be shared with others. So as we conclude this sort of pause for celebration, we encourage you to think about the objects that surround you in your life and to give them some attention and meaning, and to follow those threads of where they're going to lead you.